I'm Megan Skidmore. For 2.5 years, I have been talking about evolving faith journeys. I started to tire of the heaviness of this focus. I had the clear message come through. It is time for Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast to evolve into Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. With the same vulnerability and unapologetic authenticity, I will be focusing on the joy in this journey, the life and the living that comes on the other side of maybe, on the other side of what's possible. I want to talk about claiming spiritual sovereignty and becoming your own captain of your vessel. Let's celebrate releasing what no longer aligns for you and connecting with your higher power and honor expanding your energy field to make room for all things new. Alrighty. Hey, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt. I am so excited to have my friend Amanda Louder here with me today. I have long since wanted to have you on, and so I'm really grateful that we were able to make this work. You are a fellow life coach, and you are a mom and a spouse and a lot of things. So thank you for making time. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Me too. I'm happy you're here. So I'm just going to turn the mic over to you. Take a moment and just share with our listeners a little bit about you, your background, your upbringing, family, faith, religion, your profession, all the things.
Yeah, okay. So I grew up in a pretty traditional family, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. My
Mhm,
parents are still married. They've been together for a long time, almost 50 years at this point.
mhm.
I was the oldest of five children, three living. I had two brothers pass away when I was a child. So that shaped a lot of our
Mhm.
family. And but grew up in a really great home, great parents, and very strong and very family oriented.
Mhm.
I so I grew up mostly in Utah, but we moved back east when I was in high school,
Okay.
and then moved back to Utah my senior year of high school, and then I attended Brigham Young University where I met my first husband,
Okay.
and he and I were married for 13 years. We spent most of our marriage in Dallas, Texas, and we had three children together. Our marriage was very challenging, very
Mhm.
difficult, and there was a lot of emotional abuse. And so after 13 years, we divorced, and
Mhm.
I met my husband Kevin very quickly after my divorce. Um, we met when I'd only been divorced for 6 weeks, and
Wow.
he was also just very recently divorced.
Mhm.
But we quickly fell in love and knew that we wanted to get married, and we got married about 9 months later and blended our families. And so I had three, he had two. So now we have five kids together. We're going to be celebrating our 13-year anniversary next week. And
Congratulations.
we are, what I say, blissfully happy still, even after 13 years. So we just have a really great marriage, and our kids are now almost 17 to 25. So our two youngest are going to be seniors this coming year, and then we'll be empty nesters. So it's been a great experience. I found life coaching in 2017. So I had thought about, especially after my divorce, thought about
Mhm.
becoming a therapist. That was kind of something that was on my radar. But when I met Kevin, it just finishing 8 years of school because didn't have much school under me at that point. 8 years of school, being a full-time parent to five kids just didn't seem really feasible. So I just kind of put it on the back burner. But then I found coaching in 2017,
Mhm.
and it was very life-changing for me, as well as seemed like a great fit for what I wanted for my life, because I wanted to help people and help them thrive in their relationships and marriage. And um, being a therapist, I didn't want it to have to deal with like all of the mental health issues and stuff. We had enough of that within our own family. And I just wanted to help people have a great life and even better. So I actually first started coaching women who were struggling in their marriage and contemplating divorce. But I quickly realized that many of the women were struggling because of sex and sex in their relationship.
Okay.
And I had really struggled with sex in my first marriage. And it was not something that was fun or pleasurable. It's something I just basically did to keep my husband happy every once in a while. And but when we were about 12 years in to our marriage, I was like, well, maybe if the sex gets better, our marriage will get better. And so I faced my sexual shame head on
Mm-hmm.
and dealt with all of the issues. And I actually learned to love sex in that relationship, but the marriage was still bad. So when I got married to my husband, Kevin, that has always been a really important part of our relationship. So I changed my niche and started helping women in their sexual relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that has created a wonderful and thriving business for me. And now not only do I coach women, but I also coach men and couples as well. And I love my job. So yeah,
Wow, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for that overview. So many questions. I'm like,
Right.
which way, which direction do we take here?
Yeah.
Um, so you've been married currently with Kevin, you said about 13 years.
Yeah. Well, it'll be 13 years next week.
So it's been about the same amount of time that you had been in your first marriage.
Yes.
So you have close to 26 years under your experience belt, we could say,
Yes.
living in a married relationship. So I like to be open. I like to be
Yeah.
bold
Yeah.
and
Me too.
honest. Yes, obviously, you wouldn't be able to talk about sex and relationships and all of the, we'll just say challenges that that can bring
For sure.
to a marriage or life, your relationship with yourself, obviously, if you had sexual shame to face head on. Maybe we'll start there. I'm curious to hear from you. Like, how did you come to this awareness about your sexual shame? And I would be interested if you could also include, cross section that with your religious upbringing. You did share how you were raised in a very religious, strong household that way. Was there an overlap? And if so, can you share about that and what that was about and how you faced it?
Yeah. So I didn't realize that it was sexual shame. So I grew up in a home where we didn't really talk about sex. Um,
I think
there
that's common.
It's pretty common.
Hmm.
Sex was something that we saved for marriage. So there wasn't a lot of education from my parents or outside of my parents
Hmm.
around it. I mean, I knew the basics of how babies were made, but that was about it. And
Yeah.
but I realized that there was a lot of language at church, but also in our home around, you know, saving yourself for marriage, that sex was bad. And then once in marriage, it's good. Um, there was a lot of language um, around desires, sexual desires being bad. Um, so, it was, bridle your passions, quoted from scriptures, and
Hmm.
all of the bad things that happened. And I mean, there was a lot of, I've watched family members that, got pregnant out of wedlock and how they were talked about and, looked at.
Yeah.
And so that, I think all of that, lessons in young women's about, preserving your sexual purity and how you dress and how that affects boys. And it's your job to dress appropriately so that they don't have bad thoughts.
Hmm.
And I think all of that contributed. I had a lot of sexual feelings and thoughts as a teenager, and I felt terrible about myself because of those. I thought that there was something wrong with me because I had those feelings and would squash them down as much as possible. But I mean, I liked boys. I always say I was boy crazy out of the womb. I loved boys, and I loved kissing boys and going out on dates and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And um, so when I met my first husband, and things progressed quickly. I had a lot more experience than he did, and
You're
marriage just
talking your first
my
husband.
first husband, yes.
Yeah.
That like it was just, I mean, in our culture, you find someone, they check the boxes, so
Yeah.
you say you're going to get married, and you get married, and then you can finally have sex. And so, I just thought that everything would be solved once
Yeah.
once I was actually able to have sex, and it was great for like 2 weeks. And then I just didn't understand why he wanted it all the time. I didn't want it all the time. The meaning frames had changed, which I didn't understand that at the time, but it went from like, bad, 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 good to like your brain just doesn't turn on when you've suppressed it for so many years. And
Mm-hmm.
then, so, but when I was a teenager, I had all this shame about sexual feelings and desires
Yeah.
because it was this forbidden thing. And then I
Mm-hmm.
get married and it's allowed, and I no longer had those feelings. And then I had shame about that. And so just compounded into, and I didn't understand, like, why did I have all these feelings as a teenager, but then I get married and it's allowed and I don't have them anymore. But I also didn't understand my body. I didn't understand how women experienced pleasure. I didn't understand that most orgasms don't come from penetration. Like, I didn't understand any of that. And so it wasn't until like almost 12 years in that I finally was like, I was actually watching Oprah. This was back in the day
Good
when
old
she was
Oprah.
on network
How
television,
many life lessons did we learn
right?
from Oprah?
And she had two sisters on that were doctors. One was a therapist, one was a urologist that specialized in sex. And they talked about sex in a way that I had never heard before. It was not, you know, shaming. It was not, inappropriate. It was very tactful and classy, but still very informational. And so I was like, oh, like I didn't even know that this was possible to talk about sex in this way. And so I started like reading everything I could from them. And they had their own show on Oprah's network. So I started watching it. And then I started like, buying books and reading. And so it was just a matter of like starting to confront all of the lessons that I had had and the beliefs that I had around sex. Like, what do I actually think about sex? Like, what do I think its purpose is? What is it? Like, is it just for my husband, or can it be for me too? Am I supposed to experience pleasure? Well, I have an entire organ in my body that is only for pleasure. So maybe God actually
Mm-hmm.
wants me to have
Mm-hmm.
this. Maybe this is
Mm-hmm.
a good thing, that I'm not a bad woman. I'm not a trashy woman
Mm-hmm.
because I want and desire to have sex. And so it just started to shift. It still took me a while,
Yeah.
but I
How
didn't have
long
anybody
would you
to guide me.
say if you were
I'm
to guess?
probably
Months, years?
probably at least a year, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those beliefs, those thoughts are really deeply ingrained.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think while I felt so much better about myself and I felt better about sex in general, because the marriage was still bad, I didn't necessarily have a chance to really embrace my sexuality in that. But then when I married Kevin and,
Hmm.
we talked during our, dating and engagement, like, I mean, he was like, "Do you like sex?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, I do." Right. And so we talked about the kind of relationship that we wanted to build together. And,
Hmm.
both of us have been previously married. So it wasn't like two virgins that we were before we got married the first time. And so we had a lot more knowledge and experience. And so it was good from the get-go. And I think I finished healing and really started to figure things out, even more so, in this loving relationship where it could be like something that just was passionate and loving and connecting and so good for both of us. So,
That's really beautiful.
yeah.
I am really grateful that there's someone like you
Yeah.
who took the reins
Yeah.
of your life, specifically your sex, and I'm going to say intimate
Yes.
life,
Yeah. Absolutely.
um, because it's more than just a physical
Right.
act and physical sensation. So I don't want to,
Right.
belittle or whatever, demean it in that way. Um, because so many, particularly, I'm going to say of our generation, I think you're
Yep.
similar generation as me,
I would say so.
Gen X,
Yep.
and before then, that what you've described is
Mhm.
definitely the case. And to even say some of the things that you have shared would have just been the shock value would have probably, no, seriously, it probably would have ostracized you from your community at
Yes.
that time.
Yeah.
And you would have been seen as scandalous
Absolutely.
and inappropriate.
Still am sometimes.
And okay, I can only imagine. Well, okay, so that I think leads into my next question. I'm curious then, having been raised that that way with all of that messaging, I was too. I'm still sorting through a lot, wading through a lot of what you said. I was like, wow, yep, check, yep, check, as you were listing all those things. How were you able to know what you had been taught and yet claim or take the reins and know that what you were feeling, what you were experiencing, which was different
Yeah.
than the messaging that you got,
Yeah.
was okay? As a matter of fact, it was more than okay. You even said you started to entertain the question, maybe God wants me to experience pleasure. And I'm curious to know, what did you come up with?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I think I know.
it really took some introspection, but also a lot of prayer. And I mean, I believe that we can pray and receive answers from God. And so I prayed and I asked questions and I feel like I got answers from God because I was asking good questions. I was asking questions that I had a sincere desire to do what is right, but also to know what is right not just in general, but what's right for me personally. And I think God wants us to know those things. And so they answer.
So, can you think off the top of your head? You said not just asking questions, but asking good questions. Can you
Yeah.
tell us more what you mean
Yeah.
by that?
So I didn't just ask a question like, is sex good?
Uh-huh.
I said, I believe that sex is good in a marriage and it's good for me as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a different question,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because sex is neither good nor bad, but how we use it actually
Mm-hmm.
creates goodness or
Mm-hmm.
destruction. Sex is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people who use sex for very evil purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to use it for good, for me, for my
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think God says, yes, that is what it should be used for. And so by asking good questions, I got good answers.
Mm-hmm. So, what would you share with somebody who finds themselves in a similar situation as what you've described you were in? Let's rewind about, sounds like 13, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more,
Yeah.
who is trying to claim what you just described, that sex is good. I am worthy of that good thing, that pleasurable thing. Like, I don't have to let go of these desires or these wants that I have in the name of, fill in the blank, a teaching or someone else's feelings or um, for the good of the whole, the family, the fill in the blank. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think that like my parents, leaders, they had great intentions. Like
Yeah.
they weren't trying to hurt me or anyone else.
No,
They were trying to
I
keep me
believe
safe.
that too.
right? And
Yeah.
so, like, while they did have good intentions, it was based in fear.
Mm.
And when anything is based in fear, it does not give good results. And so, how can we create something that is not based in fear to give us better results? What's the fear there? I mean, I think a big fear is that sexuality is going to lead us to hell, and we don't want our kids to go to hell, right? And I just don't believe that
Hmm.
because I very much believe in Jesus Christ and his atonement. And like we definitely make mistakes, including sexual ones, and that is not a sure path to hell.
Hmm. Tell me your honest thoughts. I love how you are claiming your spiritual journey, your um, your spirituality, your faith journey. It's clear that you are leaning into your own inner wisdom.
Absolutely.
um, I love that you said, I don't believe that sexuality is going to get us to hell. I think some of that fear-based teaching came from, we were taught that sexual activity outside of marriage was a sin next to murder. I think
Yeah.
murder is the only
Yeah.
thing that was worse.
Yeah.
That's really heavy.
It is.
And that leaves a lasting, enduring um, impression that's hard to shake when you realize, or if you choose to listen to whatever your heart, your spirit, your soul is telling you. I don't know if it's quite like that. I don't know if that's quite true.
No.
Like,
I mean,
tell
that
me your
was, but
thoughts
then
about that.
Every first Friday of the month, I offer a free coaching hour. Anyone is welcome to join, and you may leave your camera off and change your name if you would like to remain anonymous. This is an opportunity to get introduced to my style of holistic coaching and gain real skills, insight relevant to you, and fresh perspective on life circumstances. For those attending, there will be opportunities for a complimentary one-off energy alignment session. Register at the link in the show notes.
that's actually a misinterpretation of the scripture. So, and I am not a scriptorian, so don't even ask me where it is in the scriptures, but the scripture is it's a father talking to a son about his sexual transgressions. But where we get mixed up is he's actually talking to his son about leading people away from the church. And that's what is the sin next to murder, not the sexual transgressions.
Mhm.
So that it's a complete misinterpretation. So
Yeah.
that was part of that spiritual journey is starting to look like what is the scripture that tells me this
Mhm.
that sexual sin is next to murder, and
Yeah.
is that actually what it means? Is that's what
Yeah.
actually is being taught here in the scriptures, or and again praying about it, like figuring
Mhm.
that out for myself. And I mean, while I think the sin next to murder is well documented, so is this other interpretation. We just didn't get that. So I think we really have to examine what our beliefs are
Mhm. Mhm.
and where they came from, and if they create goodness in our life or not.
Mhm. Yeah, I have learned in more recent years, I'll say, as my own faith journey has taken a significant pivot. I'm very open about this. When I learned that I had a LGBTQ plus
Hmm.
kiddo, and then it was not quite 2.5 years later that then he came out as transgender. And it saddens me so, so much that there are many passages that are used to nail people to the wall, to judge, to bring shame, to foster fear, guilt. Um, this very same concept happens to the LGBTQ plus community.
Absolutely.
Passages are completely misused. It has become important to me to I honor Holy Writ. It was written thousands upon thousands of years ago. Words and understandings that we have now did not exist
Right. Yeah.
at that time. Like there's not even a point of reference
Right.
that is comparable in many cases. Um, and so it takes some significant self-differentiation
Hmm.
that you are You are not your faith journey. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You are the one experiencing all of this. And what do I truly want to do with that? What do I think about what's going on outside of me? How does that resonate with my soul on the inside? And then moving forward, what does that look like for me in the manifestation and the expression of these um, understandings that you have by listening to your heart, your inner voice, capital I, capital V. How did you how did you take the reins on that?
Yeah. I would say I didn't. I mean, the sexuality part started the journey,
Mm-hmm,
I would say.
mm-hmm.
So when I was growing up, again, I have great parents, very
I
good,
totally
well-meaning
get you.
parents,
I totally
right?
understand. Our parents did the best that they
They
could with what they
absolutely
had,
did,
as did their parents.
as did theirs.
That is the foundation. That's a baseline. Totally hear you. Totally
Yep.
get it.
So, I mean, just as context,
Mm-hmm.
my father is a convert to the church. He converted when he was 17.
Okay.
But my maiden name is something that you would recognize from the Doctrine and Covenants.
Okay.
His father went inactive, married a Baptist, didn't raise their kids in the church. So my dad actually grew up as an anti-Mormon in Salt Lake City. Um,
Okay.
so that was, so he converted when he was 17. He went on a mission, married my mom. My mom grew up also in an inactive family. So her parents were married in the temple, but they didn't raise their kids really in the church. My mom
Mm-hmm.
had a best friend who she loved and she would go to church with her best friend. And so she grew up really strong, but not in a strong family. So I think my dad, because he was a convert and because he studied, he's very intellectual. He studied doctrine, and he was very strict with doctrine. And my mom taught us more in faith. So it was very, I think, fairly balanced between the two of them, but it was very distinct. Like dad was doctrine, mom was faith. That's how it, I mean, looking back, that's how I see it. And my dad had this saying when we were growing up. There's the world's standards, there's the church's standards, and there's our family's standards. And it was
Wow.
very high. That bar was very, very high.
Okay.
And it was very much about obedience in my family. And so when I started to move out of an obedience framework into a more sovereign framework, it felt very wrong at first. It because
Yeah.
um so I talk a lot about, I think guilt is a really powerful emotion. I think it's a really important one because it tells us when we're out of alignment with our integrity and our values. But a lot of times we
Mm-hmm.
experience what we think is guilt that is not actually guilt. It's us taking on the emotions of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I started to move more into this differentiated sovereign way of thinking, I experienced a lot of guilt that wasn't actually mine. It was guilt that like I was experiencing from my parents and my church leaders and all the things that I thought I should be feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't, but it still didn't sit right because it was not what was actually in alignment for me. And so it was a matter of learning how to do that and just give that back to them. Like,
Yeah.
this is what is right for me. And what is right for me may not be right for somebody else, but it's what's right for me.
Yes. So empowering. Let's just say that together. Give it back to
Yeah,
them.
give it back. Give it back. Yeah.
I caught what you said that when you started to move into this place of sovereignty,
Yeah.
it felt wrong. And I've learned that often we associate discomfort or the harder feelings. I don't like to classify feelings as positive or negative anymore. I kind of look at them by their vibration, right? And so the lower vibration feelings are often what comes when we're trying to step into our sovereignty.
Absolutely.
And I've noticed that those feelings of discomfort at least in the faith tradition, I'm also of the LDS faith tradition.
Okay.
Um, Often those are associated with a loss of what's called a feeling the spirit or
Yeah.
having the spirit with you. And
Yeah.
that's problematic
Absolutely.
when we are classifying our feelings and our experiences in such a binary way. There's so many more layers there. And so by looking at it as, okay, I'm feeling unease, or I'm feeling a little uncertain, or I'm feeling XYZ, I choose to see those as teaching moments. Like, okay, why might I be feeling that? Has anything really gone wrong? Or am I just, what's going on? And usually it's just, I'm stepping into my next best version. And yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. It absolutely is. And it's so worth it. I mean, I would say, I mean, the shift had started towards the end of my first marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it has continued on. Huge shifts since I went into, like, I started coaching with my own coach and then became a coach. But at the same time, I have never felt the spirit stronger than I have the last few years. I have
Yeah.
never had more personal revelation. I have
Yeah.
never had so many outpourings of the spirit for me and for my clients. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I'm often just a conduit
Mm-hmm.
for that.
Amen. Mm-hmm.
So that because it
Yeah.
is so, so powerful. And I have watched not only myself, but also my children, my spouse, my clients step into this more sovereign place. I mean, the language that I use with my kids is completely different than the language
Yeah.
that I used when they were younger
Definitely.
or that I experienced because, we'll have these discussions and I'll be like, this is what I think, but I want to know what you think because
Mm-hmm.
what you think might be different. And it might be right for you, even if it's not right for me. And what's right for
Mm-hmm.
me is not necessarily right for you. And giving them their sovereign power that they get to decide what's best for them and not just like, no, you need to obey. Like that has created
Yeah.
such beautiful relationships between us, but also I can see it in themselves and
Yeah.
how much stronger they are than I ever was at that age.
Think about all the trust that you're fostering with them and
Yeah.
cultivating that
Yeah.
will stick with you in your relationship lifelong.
Yeah.
So I love that you said how much joy you've experienced the more you have stepped into your sovereignty. I have as well. My spirituality has not just expanded, it feels like it's exploded as
Yeah.
I have truly claimed all of my spiritual sovereignty that was already there. It was already mine to be claimed. I just didn't quite see that and maybe didn't quite know how, but
Hmm.
I do now.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to hear from you now. I have found there's so much joy to experience and moments of bliss as we step into that space of the unknown.
Hmm.
Feels a little scary, all that uncertainty. There's these moments that we just couldn't even probably fathom prior to that. Share with us where you have found new new life, like new birth even, in your spiritual journey, however you refer to it as, even new practices or observances that you maybe have introduced that contribute to that.
Yeah. I mean, my faith continues to shift. I mean, I'm still an active member of the church, but I pick and choose. I'm okay being a cafeteria Mormon.
I love that.
Um, and I mean, it's important to me to continue with my faith
Mm-hmm.
tradition. I feel a lot of peace there sometimes, and sometimes I don't, but I still find a lot of joy in those experiences and with my family and even in the
Mm-hmm.
temple. I still feel a lot
Mm-hmm.
of joy. Um,
Yeah.
but I think one of the biggest things is I've found so much more joy in myself. Um, I don't really, I mean, I still have those uncomfortable moments, of course, but I've really just embraced this
Mm-hmm.
freedom and sovereignty. And like, I don't get those twinges of guilt much at
Mhm.
all anymore because I recognize them so quickly now and do a self check. Like, am I in
Yeah.
alignment? Yes? No? Okay. Right. And then
Mhm.
can move on. And so I've realized with developing, relationships are really important to me. They're, that's really what I'm coaching on is relationships, these marriage
Mhm.
relationships mostly. But so
For sure.
my marriage is so important to me, and I find so much joy in spending time with my spouse, and with my kids. I love the relationship I have with my kids. I love it. It's so, so good. It's such a
Mhm.
different relationship than I have and that I had in the past, and it
Mhm.
brings me so much joy to see them and their growth and development and how much love we have in our family. Um, I think that I've found more and more joy the more I understand about relationships and people and how to be more of myself in those relationships. I will say I was a people pleaser for many, many years. Um,
I think that's common.
yeah,
Mhm.
and
Especially among women. Yeah.
and I lived in resentment. I lived in it. I was always doing things that I didn't want to do so that people saw me a certain way, so I appear a
Mhm.
certain way, so that people would like me,
Yeah.
um, to keep the peace in family.
Yeah.
And I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. You were living for everybody else but
Everybody
you.
else. And now, I'm really, really good about checking
Mhm.
in with myself and saying, is this something that I want? Is this something that I desire? Does this feel good to me? Is this going to create goodness in my life? Or is it going to create resentment? Is it going to and if it doesn't create goodness, I'm not doing it. I'm not
You're
doing it.
out.
My life is just full of goodness. It's full of so much goodness.
Yeah. That speaks bliss to me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you being transparent about how you observe your faith. You used the term cafeteria Mormon.
Yeah.
I've been open since the policies of August of 2024 targeted toward transgender and non-binary individuals
Yes.
caused so much pain. I personally I've been open about this. I've taken a step back.
Yeah. And
I
I have no judgment towards people who do because
it's
it's
just
so personal.
it's just not the message that
Yes.
I believe God.
Yes.
No, I absolutely know God is not
I agree 100%.
sending that message to
Yes.
them. And so that's where I feel aligned. You talk about doing that self-alignment check. And that's also a really important part of owning our spiritual sovereignty. So I appreciate you being open
Yeah. So I
about
also have
yours.
a queer child.
Okay.
And
I knew you did, but I didn't know if you were
yeah,
open about it. So I didn't
no,
want to
and
say anything.
she's very open about it. And so
Okay.
I'm not going to go into her story and anything
Yeah.
like that,
No
just because
need.
it's not mine to share.
No need.
But that has been a huge shift in me as well. Like I experience things differently because of her. And it has,
Yep.
there's a lot of things that I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what's so important about differentiation.
Yeah.
Differentiation meaning like I can be close to something or not, right? I can agree or disagree and still be close if I choose to be. And right now, I'm saying right now because that may change in the future, and I'm okay with that.
Fair.
But right now, I can disagree and still choose to attend. I don't know that that will always be the case,
Mm-hmm.
but right now it is.
Yeah.
That's what feels in alignment for me, and I totally respect and honor the people that it doesn't feel in alignment for,
Mhm.
because I think it's such a personal thing.
I think what you say right there, that's the epitome of claiming your spiritual sovereignty,
Yes.
claiming how what you feel, how you align here, how that looks on the outside, what that manifests as,
Yes.
that's you claiming your spiritual sovereignty.
Agreed.
And little aha moment, I mean, I knew this, but that is essentially all that our queer loved ones want as well. That how they are able to live, how that looks, how
Yes.
that's expressed,
Yes.
whether it's words or actions or whatever, aligns with how they feel on the inside.
Yeah.
It's really no different.
Yep.
That's all that they want, is to be seen. So beautiful. What a lovely conversation. Thank you. Thank you so much for meeting with me. The last question I ask all of my guests, and I love the answers because they're all so varied, but what does living beyond the shadow of doubt mean to you?
It means that even when I have doubts, even when things maybe don't look or feel the way that I would have expected or wanted, I can still choose joy.
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. To me, a shadow being there obviously implies that there's light, right? That you have to have them both.
Yes. Well, and that's very much in like the Taoist teachings when we
Hmm.
talk about like Tantra and different things, which I do a lot as a sex coach, right? It's
Okay,
all
we need
about,
to talk.
yeah,
Just
right?
kidding.
But
Not really.
it's all about in Tantra, it's about that every single one of us has dark and light. We were
Hmm.
created that way. You think about like yin yang, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff, right?
Hmm. The
So
masculine, feminine
we
energy.
all
Hmm.
have that within us. And in order to have light, we have to embrace the dark. We have to.
Right. There'd be no point of comparison or no point of contrast.
No, and we know that there is contrast, there is opposites in everything.
Hmm.
And that is a wonderful and necessary part of
Yeah,
the human experience. And
absolutely.
we can't shine, we can't embrace that light unless we also embrace that dark.
Yeah. I believe it's that push and pull energy that naturally exists when you do have opposites.
Yes.
That's what propels us forward. That's
Yes,
the only thing that creates change, that fuels progress.
absolutely.
So awesome. Oh my goodness. I love conversations like this. So, just a few for fun questions that I'm going to throw out to you so
Okay.
our listeners can get to know you.
Yeah.
Uh, Tell us your favorite book, or if that stresses you out, favorite book. Because some people are like, how do I choose?
Yeah, I mean, I am a huge reader. I read
Okay.
probably close to 100 books a year. So I have lots of favorite books, but I would say one of my favorite books is called Secrets of a Charmed Life. It's a, a book by an author named Susan Meisner. She's a pastor's wife, so she writes these really beautiful historical fiction books that are super clean, actually. I read a lot of smutty books too. That's okay. But I
My
really
gosh, Amanda, I love you.
but I love historical fiction. I love learning about different times in history. And she usually writes things from a dual perspective. And this book is about two sisters who live through World War II and the London Blitz and their experience there. And so when I went to London a few years ago, I got to experience some of the places, and then half the book is set in the Cotswolds. And I went to the Cotswolds and I was on Facebook Messenger with the author, and she was like, okay, go down this road and turn here. And this is the cottage that I based it
That is
on
so
and stuff.
cool.
It's really one of my favorite books. It's a lovely story, and it taught me a lot about the culture and what happened during that time. And so I love historical fiction books. Yeah.
That's fun. I love all those areas you're talking about. Tell us, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I would probably have always said I'm an extrovert, and I think I am, but I find the older I get, the more introverted I am.
You know, that's funny because that's fairly common. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Tell us,
I think part of it is I'm just more at peace with myself.
mm, yeah. And the more you cultivate that relationship with self and enjoy
Yeah.
being with yourself,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, tell us your favorite artist.
My favorite artist,
You choose.
painting artist.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Um, I love Monet's um watercolors.
Yes, me too.
I think they're so beautiful.
Yeah. You're a Monet girl, I can tell. Are you a night owl or a morning lark?
Am I what?
A night owl or a morning lark?
Neither.
I think that's how I would describe myself the older
I mean, like when I was younger, probably more of a night owl. But I'm a big sleeper. So I like now my kids are older and I don't have to get up with them in the mornings anymore. I usually don't get out of bed until well after 8. And then I'm usually in bed by like 9:30.
I feel you. I feel you, sister. Okay, tell us your celebrity crush, if you have one.
I really like David Boreanaz.
That's a good one.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite.
Awesome. Do you do still or carbonated water, diet soda, or some other fun beverage?
So I drink water with some sort of citrus in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I ever drink.
That's yummy.
So I
I
get
like that.
kidney stones. So I gave up
Oh,
soda in
yeah.
2019. And the citrus helps with my kidney stones. So it's water.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very healthy. And then finally, the furthest place that you have traveled.
The furthest place, probably Italy. So I
Fun.
was in Italy in April.
One day. So tell our listeners about any offers that you might have, or if they have questions and want to reach out to you, just how they are able to do all of those things.
Yes. So my website is just my name, amandalouder.com. And on there, there's lots of information about coaching with
Okay.
me as an individual or as a couple. I also have a membership for women. So
Okay.
that's a pretty low price option for some people if they like that option. I do occasionally have different events. I do retreats for couples and women. Right now, I'm in the middle of it, so it's not open, but you can get on the waiting list for my next one. I'm doing a 3-week live course for couples, so where they can come
Okay.
on Monday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. and they come and I teach and then we coach, and that's awesome.
When you say live, do you mean virtually live or in person live?
Virtually on Zoom.
Virtually. Okay.
Yeah, but it's like not just recorded or something. It's like they're coming live. So
yeah, real time.
Yeah, real time. And then I have a podcast called Sex for Saints. There's almost 400 episodes, so it's
Congrats.
massive.
That is quite the accomplishment. I hit 200 earlier this year. It is a lot of work, so
Yes, I have
good
put
for
out
you.
an episode every single Friday since 2018. So it's been a long time. And then on Instagram, I'm Christian Sex Coach is my handle.
Okay, great. Well, I will make sure and include all of that in the show notes and on some social media posts as well. Amanda, it has been wonderful, so informative, and so fun. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Megan.
Absolutely.
Writer, teacher, author, Mormon scholar, and founder of Dialogue Journal, Eugene England said, "My faith encourages my curiosity and awe. It thrusts me out into relationship with all creation and encourages me to enter into dialogue." As a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, my hope is that Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast is an extension of that vision. Hopeful Spaces is a Dallas Hope Charities component of Hopeful Discussions, sponsored by Mercedes-Benz Financial Services USA. It's a free monthly parent, ally, or caregiver support group facilitated by Megan Skidmore Coaching. Email chc@dallashopecharities.org for more info. Visit meganskidmorecoaching.com to find this podcast and additional free resources, including the link for a complimentary coaching session. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram for more, or to send me a DM. Help the podcast grow. Please follow, review, and share with a friend.